"We say," said Gertrude, "we believe that there is an intelligence that shapes our lives. If so, why not then act according to our beliefs?" We were in our studio packing our paints for the annual exodus. Let me see, 6 tubes of rose madder, 10 of burnt sienna. "Do you think you will need all that?" I questioned. "What do you expect to do in a tiny hired studio?" "Well, who knows? We might find a barn some day." Little we knew what was in store for us when, after 5 days of travel in our loaded car and hours at sea, the boat drew anchor at the dock. "Here we are," I said to Gertrude. "What next?" A few weeks later, I was driving down Main Street with Gertrude when we ran into a herd of cows. There were over a dozen of them, with 2 dogs and a boy directing them. "What a nuisance," I said, slowing down to a snail's pace. The small boy, shouting and running ahead of the herd, drove them around a sharp corner onto a dirt road. The dogs followed, yapping behind. Without knowing why, I joined the procession. At the end of the street stood a large building. The cows made for it and disappeared around the corner of a huge building. It was our first view of the old barn. It was what is termed a salt box, gray and massive in line with a long lean-to roof. It had stood there over 60 years, and we were told was built to house a dozen or more cows, 8 horses, and several pigs. The cows had disappeared down Bull Lane. Even the dogs vanished. The place was oddly silent and empty. Then a horse and cart came clattering up the street with a weather-beaten man huddling over the reins. "Do you own the barn?" we asked the weather-beaten man. "Oh, no," he said. "The grocer down Main Street owns it." It was late afternoon the same day when we reached Main Street. The grocer was alone in his store. He peered at us over his spectacles as we entered. "Oh, no, we don't want vegetables," I said. "It's about your barn. We're painters, and we want a studio and a place to live." "Could you," my voice dropped to a whisper as I must appear calm, "sell it to us?" He shook his head. "Many people have tried to buy it," he said, "but I have not been willing to part with it. You see, it belongs to the old town." "We know that, but we're different," I blurted out. "We love that old barn." Quite slowly, he looked at us, this time through his spectacles. Then very quietly he said, my children, if you love it, I might sell it to you."
And so he did. The 2 Quaker sisters, Gertrude and Hanna Monaghan, purchased the livestock barn in 1929 and transformed it into an iconic summer residence and art studio. The sisters wanted to make it perfectly clear that what they accomplished was for the sake of art and was ultimately an expression of their faith in their inner light. They named their retreat Greater Light, and it came to be recognized as a major work of design and decoration. Hanna Monaghan bequeathed Greater Light and all its furnishings to the Nantucket Historical Association in 1972. Closed to the public in 2009 for restoration, it was reopened in 2011 as a monument to Nantucket's art colony and to the era between the 2 world wars, when artists flocked to the island for summers of intense work and instruction. This summer, visit Greater Light and Garden, both beautifully maintained as the sisters once did. Please visit nha.org for hours and special programming.